One side, the life. All right, y'all. All the things. Peace. I know you're gonna see darkness on one side. Let me know if you hear me okay. Because I'm sitting in the dark and I'm only using this ring light because we got to get our life. It is so good to see you. Thank you for dropping the infinity symbol. And for those of you all coming and going to use the Abrahamic word Alafia, okay, I got you. Alafia, Aboroboye, all the things. Okay. So we going to break this thing down because I was getting some questions. Also, I have actually opened up so that you don't have to follow me in order to leave a comment because I think it's very important for this particular discussion that we do that. Okay. And thank you very much for the likes. I appreciate y'all so much because y'all know I will call you petty in a second for not liking the live or hell thumb down the live. I don't care, but give me some sort of social currency if you want to sit up here and listen to my mouth run. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But peace. It's good to see you all. I love y'all to life. Thank you for your energy and your time. And again, I'm gonna call you petty if you in here and you don't either thumbs up or thumbs down the live while you here giving me social currency because I can see this number and I know when it changes and I know that those thumbs up don't match. And this will help people who are looking for more information or just trying to find some guidance or something like that. So let's get into this because I've had these questions and peace to all of you all. And thank you for dropping my infinity symbol. Y'all know how I feel about it. Uh, I don't know if this is going to be long and there may be follow up questions. I know it's dark on the other side, but I got to do what I got to do right now because I needed to. I've been trying to get on this live for a few hours, but I've been that occupied with answering things and getting things done. So let's go. I'm going to look to the side because I'm going to look at your chat and stuff too and what it is that you're saying. If I say something that resonates with you, I'll try to address it right when it happens, but it might be better to ask me the questions at the end, okay? And for those of you all who jumped over from the Talk of Tik, because you know how I do, I went over there to give a heads up because I know sometimes this doesn't notify you and vice versa. All right. So, for those of you all who don't know who I am, I'm Iyanifa Chandra Sharice. This may be your first time seeing this, or you may have watched another video or not even watched it all the way. I can tell because when you leave comments under my video, I know you didn't watch that thing. And then you jumped over to this one and you see it, which you really need to follow. If you have questions about what happens from the people that you learn from. So I'm very aware that people get their information from Google and they get it online the best what they can. And there are various practitioners that practice this tradition, allegedly. I'll get into why I said that in a minute. And then also that practice other traditions that are derivatives of this that make it a little bit more confusing for you to know what the difference is, who's really practicing, who's not, and how to ask questions, et cetera, et cetera. I have some of you who have never watched my content, or you may have come across it, and then you leave questions asking me about certain procedures and or prayers or how we do certain things over here. So let me educate you real quick. An elay is a home. Whoever you're learning from, that you decide to be the primary person that you're learning from, you are part of their elay, their home. There are some that require you to join in a certain way, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, let's just call this my virtual classroom, okay? When I say that you're under an elay, it's really different, but I need to be clear on that. If you are receiving some sort of services from someone, and peace to everybody coming in, love y'all to life. If you're receiving services from someone that's doing a spiritual practice for you that says that they practice the Yoruba Isheshe tradition, commonly known as Ifa, and you have questions about if you're going to have your icon mailed to you or your Ishefa, which is the hand of Ifa, mailed to you, or if you need to know when your prayer days or She days are, or all of those things, and you're going to somebody. Number one, when you write me a question, I pay attention to how you spell it. That tells me you're not practicing Ifa. When you ask me this question, I'm like, how are you paying somebody or dealing with them and you're scared to go back to your teacher and ask them questions? There should be no time where you should say, I wasn't able to ask a question, I couldn't follow up on a question, or they were too busy to talk to me. There's no such thing. Busy, do you wanna know busy? Busy is my life. If I can take the time to use the bathroom, I can take the time to respond to you. And because I'm so blessed to have assistants, they will respond to you on my behalf if I don't have the availability to do so. But never once will I just ignore your question. Even when you're following up, hey, yeah, I didn't hear about this, or I didn't know this happened, or did you forget about me and such and such? Once again, I tell you all I'm human first. And before I got assistance, life was tough trying to keep up with everything that was going on in the back end. So if you send me a message, fine. But at no point do I say, you can't send me an email, you can't follow up with me that I can't answer, or nor do I have time to answer a question. There should be no reason at all that you were in my comments on any social media platform asking me questions about what happens in your home. Because what happens in my home, I'm excited to see you all too. What happens in my home and our home and my Ifa family's home is not what happens in yours. And we teach traditional Ifa. And for those of you all just clicking on here, remember I said you can thumbs up and thumbs down, but that social currency is something that'll help educate people. Traditional. That means archaic Ifa in our case. And there are some things that will be the same when it comes to people who actually practice Ifa. Now, the reason I keep saying that is because you come to me confused and you're like, well, you said practice such and such, and they said such and such and such. What someone else does in their home is none of my business. All I need to do is make sure that my people here are taken care of and taken care of properly. And what you don't realize is archaic Ifa. The reason I keep saying that is the Yoruba language, and I educate on this, became written later. So when you hear Olu and them doing prayers or how they write something or when they say something, you are going to hear a different variation of that language versus the UK variant that you hear now. So are there some things that are the same? And those of you who have seen me go live with another Iya, the only one I've ever gone live with, you understand that there are certain aspects of what she learns from her Alus and her teachers, her Babalawos, that's different from ours. And it comes with simple things with how we wear our Ides and Ilekes, okay? So those things that we talk about that's different on that end, that's different. But what is never different for us is the Odus, how we do what we do, and what we do, what we do. Like those things will always be the foundation. We are very much traditionalists in those ways. But humans put their own twist on things. Villages have their own twist on things external of those foundational things. And the reason I'm making that clear is because some of these derivatives of this practice are making you think that it is Ifa and it isn't. And then you're asking me questions as it relates to Ifa and it's not. So when I get a question, and that makes me nervous. If you have to come to me and ask me, you tell me what price you paid to have a service done, specifically your Ishefa or Itefa. And then you have to ask me, will they mail me my Ishefa, my icon that represents Ifa? Will they mail that to me? Boo, I don't know. And your price over there is your price. I just know what we do over here and how we handle what we do over here. So the fact that you're asking me that tells me you have a problem going to your people to ask these questions. You need to reevaluate who you have as your teacher. The other thing that gets people messed up, and I'm going to say it here so that you hear it, and this is not to say anybody's scamming or throw shade or do any of these things. I just want to educate you all because at some point something should snap for you where you're like, okay, this doesn't feel right. When it doesn't feel right to you, find you another teacher. Learning from me online for general purposes is good. But when it comes to specifics, like the days that you pray for your energies, that's up to your Elay what those established days are. That has nothing to do with what we do over here, when we do it, and what those days are. Our days align up a certain way for a reason. So when I know that people are like, well, so and so, I saw video and they initiated under such and such and such. That's cool. But listen to the terminology and stuff that they're using. That lets you know that although they may have initiated in this practice, they're not practicing and they don't have teachers in this practice that keep them in that practice. So what they do is when they come back over to the West, wherever that is, UK, states, et cetera, they continue to learn whatever is close to them because they want someone here because for some reason they feel they can't make that connection or learn from their Yoruba teacher. So they will learn other practices that are derivatives of this practice, and then have you confused because they're initiated in Ifa or Isheshe, which they should know the term. There should be no time that you go to someone and they say that they practice this tradition and they don't call it Isheshe. Okay? If they don't say Isheshe at one point, you like, what is it now? If you don't even know that, that's a problem. So they'll go get initiated, come back, not keep up with the people they initiated under, not do whatever. You don't have to have the same teachers, you don't. You can always find other teachers. But some people learn better in person. But when they come, they can't find someone who actually practices that tradition that way, or they don't connect well with the people that do when they return to the West. So then they start learning all the other derivative practices and mixing the things up. But then you see them wearing ilekes or ides that are traditionally Yoruba in nature and teaching or talking on other traditions. And that's not how we roll. You heard me along with the other Iya tell y'all on the live on the Talk of Tik, and y'all know how I say the things, that it's not our business to talk about other people's traditions and how they practice them. But what we do is we educate you on the distinction between the two. When we hear something that's off, we're like, no, that's not this practice over here. But if you ever feel like you can't ask who you're learning from or receiving a service from a question so that you get clarity and you use the correct terms, like in my case, there are some people who practice Ifa for real, who will call it a reading because the keywords and when they search and when they started, that's what it was called. But I don't call it that respectfully. And I don't call it that respectfully for a reason. Therefore, in my home, in this Elay, in this virtual class that you're learning from, I teach you what I call it and why I call it that way. There are some people who say my godmother, my god so and so. Y'all already know that I prefer teacher, et cetera, et cetera. However, my Lulu said that his father told him that whatever the people that want to follow you and learn from you want to call you, then respectfully you accept that because it's an honor regardless. So if you call me that, fine. But you already know over here, I prefer to stick to Iya or Iyanifa, right? And when I get to whatever status to be called an Aluwu or whatever title, then okay, fine. But you got to work for that. But these comments about so and so doesn't have time or such and such doesn't happen and yada yada yada. Listen, I tell y'all all day. This is what I do. And I run a travel company at the same time and I do a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't go to a 9 to 5. This is my 9 to 5, which never ends. Sometimes it's 24/7 every day. So for me, this is what I'm teaching you. And if I can do this and have time to respond to an email when I can, or to ask one of my assistants to respond to you and all of those things, then hello, you being in the same city with me and I can't say anything, like you can't learn from me, or you're learning from me online and you say you're a part of whatever it is I'm teaching and I don't have time to respond to an email. What I told y'all is I don't like doing text. And there's a reason for that. I may have the phone turned off just so I can have the time that I need to respond to the things that I need on here or deal with things that I have to do in Nigeria. Y'all know that and you're very aware. But I tell you to email because you're going to get to me faster than anything else, unless I have that auto response that says I'm gone. But I never leave it where you don't have someone to answer your questions or to follow up with you. I just don't, I can't, I don't understand. So if you, and peace, Janine, peace, all of you all, if you are scared to ask your teachers questions and you can't get the answer, or I can't reach them, and such and such, don't come under my video asking me specifics about what you do. If you need help just having a general idea, then that's what I'm here for you to learn and be educated as much as I can so that I don't continue to give scammers information, right? About what it is that we really do and how we do it, because then they use it and then they manipulate you in your messages and stuff, and people just seeking guidance and help. And it makes it difficult. The other thing that makes it difficult is these people who practice all this other stuff and want to say that they're initiated in the 4 or 5 things and yeah, and such and such and such and such. No, no, it's just how in the world can you practice this tradition and then initiate into 4 or 5 different other things. And for one energy, there are 4 or 5 different ways you're supposed to work with that energy in order to come to fruition what it is that you want to happen. That just doesn't make logical sense. That tells me that you don't trust in what you decided on. Your ori doesn't really align with what's going on. So then you need to leave that alone and stick to what you're doing. Do something else. But there is just no spiritually and emotional way that you would be in all of those things and be okay in that way. It just doesn't happen. It's not something that it tells me you don't trust yourself. You didn't trust yourself enough to say this is right for me. And so you're trying to find everything else. The other thing is anybody who talks about sending an energy after you and they're not practicing hoodoo only, and they're saying that they're practicing any of Isheshe or Ifa, and they're going to smite you and send energies after you to do things, and they're doing all of this extra shit on the video and stuff. Leave them alone. Has common sense not hit you in the head? Like, real talk. Has it not hit you? Does something not feel right about that? I know we already sound loopy as it is, talking about animals and herbs and mixing stuff together and prayers and ancestor reverence. I know we sound crazy as hell. I know we do. But when you have people with Harvard degrees that practice this actual tradition, that teach at Stanford, that practice this actual tradition, that teach online about this, and they're like coming from that aspect, that should tell you that they don't resonate with the I'ma smite you and I'ma do all this stuff. That tells me they're not doing Ifa. And no reason should Ifa not bring you peace and the peace around you. In your peace and what it is you do to protect yourself in the elbows and stuff that we do, don't worry. The people will get theirs. so so you don't need to conjure up something to do to them. You don't need to put somebody in a candle, or you don't need to break a tie, or you don't need to do all of these things. Now, does that mean you can't practice hoodoo, et cetera, et cetera? No, that doesn't mean that. But what I'm saying is don't say that it's Ifa, and don't have people confused that you have a power that's going to take care of stuff for you. No, boo, you're one of thousands. You're one of thousands with the honor and respect of being able to connect to an energy that goes beyond your human reality. That's what you are. You are honored to be able to know and have the guidance that your whole spirit team gave you in order to know that that's a possibility for you, that you are beyond what this physical body is and what your mind confines you to think you can do. That is an honor. So, when you work on your protection for yourself and whatever's going on for yourself, all the rest of those things will follow. Will they get theirs in karma? Yes. Will they then be tripped up because they did something wrong? Yes. You don't have to send nothing. You don't have to say nothing. You don't have to do nothing, because once you did everything you were on this end and you did your elbow or you did your appeasements to your ancestors, you had that conversation and they know that you're in the right for what you're doing. Listen to what I'm saying, because if you really screwed up and you even came to Ifa and Ifa knew you were guilty as hell and that you weren't going to change and be any different, Ifa's not going to save your ass either. Ifa is going to be like, that is what you do. That's what you get. You going to handle it, because it's all about balance. So don't think that that's the case. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to send energies, or I'm going to send my so and so, or they're going to strike you down, or you just don't know who you're messing with. You don't have to say all that, because you walking in peace. You don't care. Doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. That's none of your business. Just do you. So if you're getting that too from whoever you're learning from and all of these things, and they still can't answer your questions or have the time to say whatever needs to happen, leave them be. Or maybe it's just your destiny to follow them in that way so you can learn whatever lessons you need to learn. Maybe, just maybe. But you're not going to get that over here. And if you need a deeper consultation, you can hit that website, which is myname.com, and stop leaving me these long ass paragraphs all over social media for me to answer something that you were scared to or unable to talk to whoever you're following, dealing with, or whatever, and whatever service you pay for. Because what they do is none of my business. What I do in our house is what I do in our house. What we do in our house is what we do in our house. We don't do everybody's house. It's none of our business. As long as I make sure y'all over here are taken care of, that's all that matters. That's it. The end. PSA over. Do you have any questions? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Miracles everywhere. Yes. Hell, ask some of them in here now. And my assistant is married to a whole woman, and her elbows on this thing. And yes, I know some people have an issue with that. I spoke about that on an interview that Darcel did. Social media. But Poe, listen. I spoke about what somebody else said and did in their house. Again, I'm not worried about them. It's what we do in this house, and we stick to what the Odu says. And no part of the Odu says that we do not service the community that is queer. It just doesn't. Okay. You said, "La, would you walk in?" Hey, a boy, a boy, mm-hmm. And those of you that note that I don't always put the A on a bosheshe, that is acceptable as well in the tradition. You don't always have to put the A on that. So I know some people are like, "She's not spelling it right." Yeah, I got you. I think I might be spoiled. You were my introduction to some of these horror stuff. Yes, the brown girl. Peace, Queen Poe. I know you came in on it. Cause listen, let me pin that. And Poe, I need to pin yours too. I think so. And I know. Because I get them. I get the backlash from it because then people are untrusting. But more importantly, I get the people who are hurt and they've spent some money and really, really hurt. And that thing bothers me so bad. But if they didn't go through that, they wouldn't be able to accept and receive once they get over the fact that we're not just going to screw them over what we do here. But that's a lesson that has to be learned for some because some just weren't ready and then they thought they were and now they are. But it's horrible. You have no idea the times I've had people sent to us that have that thing. And that's why I make sure you all know that it's not me by myself because some people will act like, oh, it's just me. And you come to me and I just handle all the things and you don't know anything's going on. It's like smoke and mirrors and you live in your life. I know it's the lighting on this side, y'all. I was just in my fields and so I'm coming on here. So I get it. I understand you 1,000 times. I get it. Now let me pick in Queens. Yeah, I know. I'm over people asking me stuff. And then as soon as I see the spelling, I'm like, Psh, that ain't even Nifa. That's not even Ishe. And remember, there's a Cuban Ifa. I don't have nothing to do with that. That's none of my business what they do. I already told you what it is. I keep repeating exactly what it is that I do. And I stay true to this and I follow this. And that's all I do. Because I don't want to confuse you. That's why you don't see me doing all the things. A lot of people do all the things because they're grabbing at opportunities to make money. I have my travel company for that and anything else I decide to do. And if I'm blessed in that way that it comes this way, fine. But if that's the case, I should be charging more. You need to ask these people, i.e., Queen Poe and and Darcel, how hard it was to get me to even increase something for y'all. But I started to notice that less people respected the process and thought this was a game or something to play with. And I'm very serious about this tradition. I'm very serious about what I do and how I present myself. And I've told y'all 1,000 times that I'm not going to come up on here and act a fool and embarrass myself or my family. That includes my immediate family, whether they practice this tradition or not, or my Ifa family. That's what I'm not going to do ever because that's just not my personality. And for what? Notoriety is not something I seek. Helping people is what I seek. And that's it. Whatever comes with that after that is fine. And trust me, do you know how many people give me all kind of warnings and stuff? Be careful. There are people that want to copy you or be like you, Ia, such and such and such. Boo, you will never be me. It doesn't matter. I'm not worried about y'all. I'm just concerned about how many people can I help before I transition? How many people can I educate so they can educate properly before that happens? so that this doesn't become a dying tradition. Specifically, the archaic version of this tradition doesn't become a dying one. Because right now, I just see it getting convoluted and all the things. Too many people saying they do all the things and then confusing y'all, and they show y'all, oh, I thought it's okay. You may very well have gotten that. And then make snide comments about what they would do in the process or not do in the process and all of this other stuff. I don't care. I don't care about them. I just care about the people who really want to learn. And when I see these people that leave these videos like why I left Ifa, or why I left Orisha worship, or why I left such and such and such. So well, go do you, boo. You weren't meant to be there in the first place if you got to put a whole video for attention. Or is that because you were trying to make money off of it? It didn't work out for you. So now you just decided you're going to leave and now it's not for you. You didn't have the discipline anyway, because Ifa is not easy because it's about working on you. It's not about working on everybody else. Get your life. So, okay, let me be non-petty. And let me pin your comment, Miracle, and go to everybody else's comment. I'm slowing them down so I can see it. Thank you for cleaning up because a lot of yes, I know they are. But see, whenever you have fear mongering in anything that you do, that's not number one, that's not Ishe. And secondly, the fear mongering part, that ain't it. That's individual people and who they're learning from and how they do it. And then secondly, I I told you we go by the tradition. There's no Odu that speaks to that. Matter of fact, there's another Odu that does, but I won't teach about it on here in that way. I'll wait until we officially launch what we're going to launch, and then I'll talk about it in that way. So no, you are more than welcome. And again, I can't talk about everybody else. Now, what I can tell you is there are laws in Nigeria against the queer community. So my job is to keep you safe if you so choose to initiate there, right? To go over there and initiate. But outside of that, me keeping you safe and bringing you back home is what's important. Outside of that, how the people teach and whatever, that's on them. But what we do here is not, you're not forbidden. You're a human, you're living a human experience, or correction, you were a soul living a human experience, and you just so happen when that agreement from Arun, i.e., heaven, happened, it just so happened that this is your version of that human experience, and these are your lessons to learn. And that is how this world works. So there you go. Let me go, Manny. Hey, Manny said, oh no, that's Janine. I just finished reading the hamburger. Very insightful. Now, Janine, did it help you a little more with giving you a little bit of a foundation and understanding of everything that was crossing? Yeah, Cuban greeting with it. Yes, they of course. They spell it with an I. Yes, but A is proper. Thank you for just being you all day, every day. Thank you very much. My pleasure, April. Colleen, my pleasure. And I hope I'm saying it right because I think we go through this every time I see your name. But I don't like saying names wrong, which is funny. Lord, yeah, snappy. Yeah, yeah. I drank the water now, but you already know I have to do something else. Yes, especially on TikTok. Some even make posts threatening. Yeah, if you have to threaten people, just why? First off, why do you have time? Why do you have time to do that? And you're guiding people. I don't have time to be threatening you. And then okay, we're gonna talk about Jay. I think Jay's name on Tok of Tik is Jay Ali. It may be Jay Ali. You see me repost him sometime. He's my TikTok friend, if you will. I post him and he has like locks and he does like this humor. He did thug Bible stories and his grandma's a gangster and talked about like what actually happened in his life. And if you've seen him, he did like a whole conversation on this thing. And so let me just say, if you go watch his content, you'll laugh because it just trips me out. We had a conversation about that because he was confused because he was asking me, he was like, so do y'all just be sending spells on people and stuff and blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, no. But that's what he sees. What time do you have in your life to be worried about everybody else? So then he said, and I think he even made a video about this. He said, true gangsters never show their hand, and they never say what they're going to do. They move in silence. True gangsters don't need to wave guns and stuff at you. And excuse me if YouTube decides to whatever, but this is what he says. They don't ever tell you what they're gonna do to you because they don't have to. And they're usually not the ones to do it. It's someone else to do whatever it is. This is what he said. So that's how I see this. True people don't ever have to wave and let you know their next step and their next move and what they're doing. They sit in silence. And other people, i.e., energies, handle it for them. Why? Because all they're doing is praying for their protection. So, what happens in them praying for their protection, immediately they are protected. And how that happens to the people that bothers them, that's up to them. But you see what I'm saying? You never have to say what I'm doing. You never have to worry about what the next person is doing because you are true to this and you doing this. That's it. Adiola, boy, boy, Boshachabato. How are you? Any more beginning books? Zaire, no. I don't have any more that I would recommend because they mix traditions. Yes, but I know the water didn't work. However, I did do the other thing that does work. So this is the calm version of that, Vivian. She said water don't work with 3.8. I drank the water because I was parched. How do they have time? I don't know how they have time. I've been in his lives before. Okay. A shame. Okay, I was introduced to the Cuban version of Santeria, but it never truly connected until I learned about Yoruba. Then, when I came here, I knew I wanted to initiate and make it a part of who I am. Let's go. I'm going to pin that for a second as I scroll. I'm glad because I told y'all I started in Santeria and then found my way here years ago. And I'm so glad I found it. What I liked was about the community that I learned in Santeria, but I was like, so this came from my people because we're always taught, and y'all saw I did a talk of tick on this. We're always taught to demonize us, to demonize specifically. I won't even say color people of color. I would say to demonize black folks, to demonize Africans because indigenous people don't get that demonization like that. Not from people of color. Not when they say that they're doing something traditional. It doesn't happen. People in Asian communities don't get that either, but we get it. So then, because we're taught to think less of ourselves since we're little bitty people, because you don't want to be from Africa, you don't want to associate with those people. When again, that was just done to keep us separate so we couldn't rise up together. That makes you wonder, right? So then you think everything, and oh my gosh, all the scammers in Nigeria, so such and such and such. Really though, that's another thing. Somebody will say, I don't want to practice that thing with them over there because there's so many scammers. Boo, there's scammers here. It just gets pushed up because the people aren't non-melanated. Truth be told, there's scammers everywhere in every country on every continent. And then you got to think to yourself though, how smart are they to figure out how to make money the way they did and people all pissed off? I mean, you have to be super smart to figure out how to manipulate that stuff when AOL just started and then to still be known for it now. Come on. Just the things. Do you have to learn Nigerian native language to be a part of UFA? Believe it or not, their official language due to colonization is English. There are too many tribes that speak various languages. You don't, but you will eventually learn how to speak Yoruba or at least understand it enough to do your orikis and your prayers and all of those things. But is that something you have to be fluent in order to practice this tradition? Not at all. I'm not fluent at all. So no, you're good. And I'll pin that. Let me see. Who do I owe a phone call? I owe Queen a phone call. But I didn't know if we could get together. I owe all of y'all something. And I still got one more email to respond to. All right. Are there any more questions that you have? And I know lighting isn't the greatest over here. I was kicked out of my studio because I have somebody visiting off and on. And I'm like, come on now, I need my studio back. So we're going to get it back, i.e., my den space and where I typically film my videos. More scammers here, and a lot of these scams are true. True. Let's go. And people tripping. So it's that judgment for me. But here we are. So If y'all have any questions, cool. But I'ma always tell the people who come asking me in my comment stuff on any platform, go back to who you learning from, boo. Go back to who you paid that service of. Go back to who's doing it for you. Don't ask me. And their price is not my price. So don't ask me if that's acceptable. What I will tell you is what we don't do. What we do and what we don't do. But it's none of my business. Lastly, stop asking me how I feel about other people's practices, locations, other places and stuff, how I feel about what it is that they do. Don't ask me that. That's none of my business. Am I aware? Yes. I don't do what they do. So stop asking me that. If you're questioning me on that, then that means you have a question in yourself and you need to reevaluate what you're following and doing. Something doesn't resonate with you, fine. But don't ask me that. Okay? All right, great. For the wait list, December, how much longer? Uh, Better yet, stick to the topic, but send an email because I do have an email, but I am sending out one that gives people an update. Okay, having problems staying in the living room. Do I need an anchor or do I need personal services? You need personal services. So let me tell you this, and I still need to stick to topic, but you need to definitely go watch one of my videos that I have about this topic. It might even be a short video, and I think it's in the spiritual playlist. Hey, Mary, good to see you. Okay. So, this is what I'm going to say to you. Whatever lessons you don't learn now, you will have to repeat them. And I know that's not something you want to do based on the fact that this is your consideration at this time. So, what I specifically think that you should do for yourself, and over here, we really do preach this and mean this, is counseling number one. And if you send me an email, I think it's free counseling service that somebody will offer. My assistant can send it to you. So, in order to send me that email, a matter of fact, you can send it to her and I will type it for you to send it to her. Okay. And she will send you that. That's number 1, because we believe in whole wellness over here, and sometimes in order to practice a tradition or a spiritual practice, you need that grounding there so that you can learn to trust yourself and what it is you do and what you believe, and that's very, very important. You can't do that if you are on the edge of what you just told me you're on the edge of. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is you have to compartmentalize what is going on in your life that has you feeling this way. And that's very important, and deal with only the things that you can affect that change on. And one of those things is your attitude on how you wake up every day and what's going on. And I'm not saying that the world is easy because we all been through some things. And some people going through some things right now. I'm dealing with it on this end from people who have received divinations and or ebos from us. Okay. So don't think that I'm just touting this because we haven't been through some things. And don't think the people in this practice in my position haven't been through the same thoughts and things. But as you see, we worked through that. So, what you don't want to do is repeat the lessons that you find to be difficult for you right now. And what you do want to do is continue to talk and ask people for assistance the way that you just did, because sometimes you just need someone to listen. They're not always going to understand, but someone's going to hear you. Okay? So send an email there and I'll send you some resources, or I'll have my assistant send you some resources. And then that way we can deal with that aspect of what's going on, because you can't get your spiritual health together if you're confused on trusting your mental health and what you believe your purpose is in this realm. But you would not be going through the things that you were going through if they weren't going to be used to not only push you to elevate your soul of where you are, but possibly help other people. I know the experiences that I've had are helping people, and I've had some doozies. So do that, and we'll deal with that on that end. Okay. We have resources. Just remember, You are learning these lessons so that you can grow, okay? And you need to grow. And you can't testify to how much you've grown and say, I'm in a better place now if you didn't have the shit to go through that was behind you. But whenever you move forward, don't ever look back. Do not look back. Continue to move forward because looking back is not going to help you. It'll just anchor you down back to where you are, and you don't want that to happen. And I'm looking to the side, y'all, because I'm reading the comments. So, my pleasure, our pleasure. And if there aren't any more questions that have to do with this topic, I'm going to go and do peace out. So, let me see what's going on. I'm going to need to hear that because I'm definitely going through. Yep. Yeah. You don't want to have to repeat these lessons. And that's the sad part that I think about all the time. That people think that they're cutting it short, but the lesson will repeat itself in another lifetime. Where do you think all of our old dues come from? They come from the lessons that the energies had over and over again. That's where they come from. So I started the hamburger in the beginning. It talks about how they're negating forces. Yes, but there's no correct. So everything has a yin and a yang. And you always want to ask me these questions after a certain time. So respectfully, I'm going to answer in general. And why I didn't read the words is because it's after 6 or after nightfall. And we usually don't talk about these energies or these forces after that time. So that said, that is the same energy that consumes people's thoughts and minds of exactly what is being talked about right before this. Those are the same energies that exist because humanity did something to offset the balance. And when we offset the balance, we screwed up things. And this is also why people get so nervous when we talk about the mothers and we say that they have to be appeased. Every Ebo, they are appeased because they are part of that balance. That does not mean, though, that all of those energies specifically come from them. So that is what the case is. So now this is where the yin and yang symbol come into play. So everything has a balance to it, and they're part of that balance because we did some stuff to screw it up. Okay. Yes, you did hear me say that. Peace, T Green. You said, did I hear you say this? Some of your initiates also they do, yes. At this girl, I mentioned on here an initiated she's been initiated good 40 plus years now, who practices reading tarot. And she does it for a living and gets paid for it. I told people to play around and they just wanted to get a reading instead of a divination because they were on here talking about, I don't want to do the Ebo. I just want to get such a such. So play those games. You're taking away the time from people who are on these wait lists and people who actually want to get this done, and then real stuff start to happen in their life from their divination, and then they get nervous and they're like, oh, but they had no intentions of doing the Ebo anyway. Told them to go to her. I called her the other day too, and I told her, I said, told some people to go to Keen. I need to put a link, KEEN.com, and look her up. Her name is Iyafadara. Told her to tell you that I sent you, and she just giggled at me. I said, yeah, because these people want to play games. So yes, you could do other things. She does that too. It's in her family. So I saw a part of that in my elbow to appease the mothers. Exactly. But not all divinations say it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. After every Eba, Alul comes on and tells you, we're going to appease them. And they do it at night. And he said, and I'll let Iyanifa Chandra know XYZ, XYZ. After every one. There is not one where he doesn't say we're appeasing them, whether they show up in your divination or not, because there's a balance that has to occur. And being scared of them isn't something that, well, you all know I teach y'all about this in Egg Bay and being scared of them. That's not something you need to be scared of. It's a fact of life. It's what it is. And many of us are related to them. That's why we have all the things going on. A lot of us come from their realm. So I'll say that. All right, y'all. Who are the mothers? Dr. Trudy. I cannot speak about them. Somebody else can type that for me, what their official name is. But because it is after 6, respectfully, we don't speak about them, which is why I'm talking around them. Yeah. Yeah. No, you cannot, Rain. Nope. That's only for them to do and handle, but nope. Sorry for you. Thank you. And by the way, Adeola is a Yoruba speaker and it's Yoruba, and her family's from the same town that Alua's in. So I'm saying that to say she knows that that name has several meanings because some of you will have them call them the other name Adeola because of the accents. So it means like three different things, but she can give you the other name for them as well. That starts with an I, Adeola. But we also call them the mothers, respectfully, which is why you saw that listed there, Dr. Trudy. But that's why. Yes, correct. Because people get confused if they don't see the accents. And then they're like, but I thought this meant, well, but I thought it was a dog. And then they come at me asking me questions or trying to correct me on my own content. I've had that happen. I was like, really? I think I left it there too. Or did Jax delete it? I don't know, but it might be there. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna eat in your face and head on over to the Tok of Tik, and we can talk over there as I eat in your face because I'm looking at my cold food right now. It's been like 2 hours, and it's late, and I shouldn't be eating this late. But that's what's happening. So thank you for your time as always. Thank y'all for this PSA, and I hope that this helps somebody because one more person asked me some stuff about what they do in their house and they don't know and they're scared to ask their person or their person is unavailable. They need to find a new house. My pleasure. Our pleasure. Oh, that's a good question. Excuse me before I go. Glad you slipped that in. Okay. The question is, when should a person get a divination? Well, there are 2 obligations. There's the obligation to pay for that part, and then there's the obligation to pay for the EBO, which I explain on my videos here, and it's explained on my website, and I have a whole graph and all of those things so that people aren't surprised. But if you feel you need guidance in your life, your destiny, you have a downward turn and you're like, what is changing? What do I need to change? What needs to happen? And you feel called to do so, then that's when you get it. That's only if you plan on following through with that book because Olodumare through Ifa will tell you what you need. And because it's known that you're going to follow through, even if you don't have the funds to complete the process right then, will still provide you protection. But if it's known that you're playing around and you're not doing it and you see whatever come up, not everybody's divination is all gloom and doom. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is those things that come up, some people it's all positive and they're like, I expected, more stuff. And I'm like, you complaining? But anyway, it's to make sure those positive things come to fruition swiftly without any issues and without having to work that hard for it. Doesn't mean you don't have to work. Those type of things, if you can handle that and you know it's coming and you're going to pay for it eventually or you're going to do the payment plan or whatever, then do that. But if you just come into play and you like, I don't know. And then the follow-up, people ask me, when should they get one after they've completed all the things? As the spirit moves you. We have a client that does one every month. There's some people that do it every 6 months. There's some people that do it once a year. There's some people that do it when they're just financially capable. It's totally up to you. I have no set schedule for you, but you'll know, you'll feel it. You're like, hey, I think I'm going to get my checkup. Some people go to church once a year. You could do the same thing. It's up to you. No worries. So my pleasure. Okay, Infinity Sample. Let's go. So I hope that answers your question. I see you over here. Okay, Queen, I see you. Okay. You gotta do the high pitched voice because my voice is very deep, confusing people. Peace, my pleasure. To do so without having an anchor and see what the divinations say. That would be awesome. Say, is it Zaire? I want to make sure I'm saying that. That's awesome. Because I'm telling you, I know my life turned around. That's all I could speak to. Okay, mine has already started. Today was the first day using my question. Come on, Janine. And I know I owe directions, Talk a Tick. Okay, yes, I'm going to the Talk a Tick. I'm gonna see y'all over there. Okay. Peace. If I missed you and I didn't say hello or greet you, my apologies. I thank you for your time and your energy always. And I thank you for entrusting being able to listen to my voice because I can run my mouth. But more importantly, that you're learning something. And whether you practice this tradition or not, I just need for you to get your life and do you. That's it. Learn what you need to learn. Move on if you're gonna move on. You don't have to stay over here, but you just need to find peace in whatever it is that you do. Okay? And thank you for listening to this PSA. Let me end this stream and head on over. I guess I gotta write a whole paragraph of what this is about, and I'm being lazy, so that may not get done for 3 or 4 days. But I'm gonna do it though. All right. I'll see y'all later. Peace.